This is S-Line. In the last 40 years, Philippines is one of the most severely deforested countries in the tropics. In 1900s, Philippines has 21 million hectares of forest covering 70% of the total land area of the country. But the question is, what happened to the Philippines?
Deforestation, or clear-cutting, is the act of removing a forest by cutting trees to use the land for non-forest use. Deforestation can involve conversion of forest lands to a less biodiverse environment such as farms, ranches, or for urbanization purposes.
Forests absorb carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions. According to studies, tropical forests hold about 210 gigatons of carbon dioxide each year. However, due to deforestation, about 15% of these greenhouse gas emissions are released and freed in the atmosphere. This in turn leads into an increase in temperature, leading to climate change and, the worst of all, global warming.
Not only does it affect humans, but it directly affects the different plants and animals inhabiting our forests. 80% of the world's plants and animals live in forests, and they lose their habitat due to deforestation. This is according to the National Geographic. This may also lead to the extinction of species.
However, in this country, we are focusing more and allotting more money on constructing infrastructure. Even the government cannot control illegal mining and illegal logging. Deforestation means flash floods, landslides, and mudslides that can even bury a whole town. The rich soil of the Philippines is now depleting. Who do you think will suffer?
What can you say about deforestation?
Deforestation destroys the ecosystem. Kasi, di ba, with deforestation, nawawala yung mga tumutulong para pigilan, let's say, yung mga ulan, ganun, mga bagyo. If, let's say, we have lots of trees, mas marami yung pwedeng tumulong para hindi tumuloy-tuloy yung pagbaha sa lowlands.
First and foremost, deforestation in general is, it speaks for itself. It's deforestation, cutting out trees, cutting out lumber for the livelihood of humans. For example, we use it in everything for our books and stuff like those, for our houses and stuff like those.
What do you know about this effect on the ecosystem and to us?
Of course, when you cut down trees, it could affect the ecosystem, most primarily the different processes in the ecosystem, like the food chain. We all know that the trees and plants are primary producers, and it could therefore affect the food chain. And also, it could affect the different geologic processes. Because these trees, they have roots, they hold the soil. And what happens if we cut down these trees? Then soil erosion will be rampant, soil erosion will be unavoidable. And what else? With this, it can trigger flooding and a lot more catastrophes.
There are many effects of deforestation in the environment and the ecosystem as a whole. We all know that biodiversity fosters in forested areas, in the forest, in the mountains and stuff like those. When there are many greens or there are many trees, there lies biodiversity. And we all know that biodiversity in general is about species, and there are many living things interacting with each other. Now, the most devastating effect, one of the most devastating effect of deforestation is, of course, first and foremost, the environment. We all know that trees in general sucks out the CO2 and they release oxygen. And we all know that when these trees are gone out, basically we don't have source of oxygen. So in due time, maybe 50 or 100 years from now, we would all be gasping out for clean air, or we would be buying clean air per se. Going back to the biodiversity thing, we all know that it's related with the food chain. And then when there's deforestation, there's less area for species to live in too. And then it will greatly affect the food chain and whatever, and food web in general.
The proposed Kaliwa Dam that would destroy part of the Sierra Madre, what is your side about this?
I am against on it, since that it going to destroy the Sierra Madre, because it is part of our history. It is part of what we must protect and what we must preserve, so that the future generation can have better sources of living.
Actually, kung titingnan natin mabuti, merong magandang maidudulot sana yung dam. Pero dapat tama yung napag-isipan, nabigyan ng tamang research bago nila isinagawa. At the same time, tingnan nila kung ilan yung maapektuhan sa paggagawa ng dam. Pero kung mas marami yung pangit na effect kaysa doon sa magiging magandang effect, di ba dapat i-consider na lang natin na huwag nilang gawin?
Well, if this dam would affect a great area of the forest, then I think it will not be of course eco-friendly for the nature. Also, even though if we're talking about economic, well, probably it could be beneficial. However, we're talking about natural resources here, which will be at stake when the dam will be built. Okay, so it's more of the natural resources. Then, as for me, I totally disagree.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, sir. So, start na po natin yung interview, sir. Sir, what is your opinion about deforestation, sir?
Deforestation, basically, there are reasons why it is done. Probably because of agricultural purposes. Not only that, but deforestation could also give way to urbanization, development. However, with the kind of environment that we have now, with the kind of situation that our planet is in, I think it is really not practical to perform deforestation anymore. And considering the fact that whatever we do in the next years to come will determine the fate of our planet. No, pwede siyang maging mabuti or masama. But for this reason, it is really impractical to pursue deforestation. That is why I am against it.
Yes, sir. Sir, additional question lang po. Alam niyo po ba yung sa Kaliwa Dam po?
Yes, I have heard news about the Kaliwa Dam, and according to what I've read, parang Chinese ata ang in charge dyan, and there are indigenous people that could be affected with the construction of the said dam.
Opo, sir. Sir, ano po sa tingin niyo yung pwedeng gawing parang resolution po sa deforestation po? Tingin niyo po, sir?
We already have laws that regulate the deforestation. Meron tayong environmental agencies. I think what we need more is stronger implementation of the law. Mas maging mahigpit sa pagbibigay ng mga certificates for different projects. Kasi ayun nga naman ang kulang yung stricter implementation ng law. Kumbaga, ayun yung may pinakamalaking impact yung government intervention against deforestation.
In the provinces, especially on highlands, at least 50% of the topsoil has been lost. The Philippines is also facing water insecurity because of unmanaged watershed. 57% of the major sources of water are critically denuded, resulting to the deterioration of water quality in cities like Manila, Cebu, Davao, and Baguio.
Ethnic groups were also forced to migrate to different places because of deforestation, and the government is doing little to raise these people above subsistence level.
Destroying forests means destroying the natural flow of life in our world. Forests are rich in woody plants, animals, birds, and insects, and they're the ones who are mostly affected by this. Losing forest means losing forest products such as renin and rattan, which are sources of income for many Filipinos, especially indigenous people.
The Philippines is a rich country with one of the richest mega biodiversity, filling up 2/3 of the world's total biodiversity. A country filled with treasures that are gifts of nature. A country filled with greenery. A country that once exported some of the finest woods in the world is now a net wood importer. When will we take action? If not now, when?